Hope the internet plays out. Okay, so I think we're live. Shh, yes. Um,
Woo!
so I would love to just start off. Hi, everybody. Um, I know it's been a while since I've done these Facebook Lives. If you're new to this group, hi, my name is Tish, and I've created Bliss Musings Sisterhood probably like a year and a half ago, maybe even 2 years, I'm not sure. Really, my intention with this group is to showcase and share and interview women that is passionate about empowering other women through their stories. And I met this incredible woman, Kalah, who I'm going to introduce in a minute. And she really just sparked in me again to start sharing these videos and sharing it with the group and empowering ourselves through knowledge and sharing. So it's it's great to be back. It feels really fun. I would like to introduce Kalah. She is a freedom doula, a pleasure advocate, and the founder of Pussy Consciousness, which I totally resonate so much with that beautiful, space that you created, this container, this web of Pussy Consciousness. We'll dive in a little deeper into that. As a bisexual, biracial woman and of color, Kalah knows it is a responsibility to activate compassion, justice, freedom, and truth within herself, within others, and within the world. This is potent medicine and comes from radical self-love. As the founder of Pussy Consciousness, Kalah's intention is to reclaim the wisdom and the truth of the feminine through the installation of pleasure and felt experiences of our desires. Kalah believes in a better world, one where we honor the sustainable and renewing orgasmic life force of which all human beings are conceived. So it's such an honor, Kalah. Welcome, sister. So good to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. And yeah, same with you, Tish. Just meeting you down here in Nosara in Costa Rica was really special. And I really enjoyed our time together. So you definitely activated some creative incantations or something of that nature. Like it felt really kismet and synchronistic, and it was brief, but it was like totally what was needed. So yeah, it was great.
Awesome. So just for you guys to know, Kalah also lives here in Costa Rica, and I went down to Nosara a few weeks ago, maybe like 2 weeks ago or so, and we actually met on her birthday. I just remembered now.
Yes.
She invited me into her beautiful temple space where she's at now, and we started talking, and we just connected instantaneously, and I knew that there was like a deep resonance with what we are and who we are and how we're showing up in the world. And so we'll dive in a little bit deeper into what Kalah is sharing with the world. But let's jump into the first topic of discussion, which is the story of our origin. So maybe, Kalah, if you want to dive a little bit deeper and to share with us what that's all about.
Yes. So yeah, the story of origin for me is really what the name Pussy Consciousness is all about. So to me, it is our place of human origin. Where we originate from is from the pussy. Where our consciousness is given birth is inside the walls of a woman's womb, right? So I'm very interested in where I come from. I'm very interested in this story of origin because I do believe that when we remember where we come from, we can remember who we are. And the stuff that makes us up in that space, right? The erotic, the sexual, the nurturance, the pleasure, the accessibility to life in that space of origin, I believe we have that in every moment. We've just kind of forgotten. And so I'm also really interested in this space of origin because this is where our consciousness is formed as well. So we develop in utero for 9 months and we start to kind of come online with our external experience I believe around like 6 months or into the third trimester is when the baby can really kind of start to hear the mother's voice, to hear outside noise, and to kind of start to like touch, feel, move, respond to external indicators. So when this happens, like I'm also curious about kind of the conception period too. So the story of origin is also about conception. And for any creatives, artists, people who are wanting to conceive or birth ideas into the world, I believe that this is the space we need to go to as well in order to kind of harness that, okay, I was conceived within a human form, was conceived without there being any agenda, with allowing nature to take her course, with with basically this conduit that none of us have any control over, yet somehow we formed into fully functioning human beings from this space. And so I want to know about these unknown spaces and these spaces of origin. I've always been attracted to stories of origin, like any movie or like TV series that deals with stories of origin. I've always had a really like heartfelt space for and attraction towards. I do believe that it's in our beginnings that we can realize that we're just like beginning and beginning and beginning again most every day. And to recognize the possibility within that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to jump into the next topic of discussion because I'm super excited about it. And it's all about erotic feminism. Yes. So I just came back from a 5-day retreat down in Puerto Viejo where we touched a lot upon this. And so I'm curious to know what you're going to share about this and kind of just tune into that.
Well, there's been a good amount of literature, I feel, on this. One of my favorites, though, around this topic is Audre Lorde. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her work. She was a lesbian Black feminist in the 1970s. She was a writer, author. She did a lot of liberation work, social justice work, feminist work, and she spoke to the erotic. And I love her writings, her articles, all around this. And part of the repression / patriarchy / abuse of women is quite founded on a woman's erotic nature. Yeah. And that is a dangerous thing. And that is a powerful thing. And that's why it's dangerous. And that's why it is a threat to a system like the patriarchy, because it means that you can't divide and conquer. It means that you can't control and manipulate. So I do believe that when a woman steps into her eroticism and her erotic nature and fully embraces her sexuality, her pleasure, her eroticism, she is liberated. And there's no turning back from that. And once you experience that amount of joy in one area of your life, you will raise that standard to every other area of your life. So it is a level up. It is an access point, I believe. And that's also what my work is about accessibility. And I see erotic feminism, the pleasure activism that I do with my clients, as the gateway to liberation. It's almost, it's like an access point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that. So it's just so interesting because I never really thought of it as an access point. And even though I'm very erotic and, I've really tapped into my innocence in that erotic sense, during our retreat this week, we all got to a space where we felt so safe to get completely naked and just dance erotically and just cultivating that powerful energy within the women. And it's so liberating and it's so freeing. And like you were sharing, it's truly an access point. It's like this pillar that you're putting into the earth, and you literally just feeling that power coming through you in your essence, you know. And as you witness the women dancing with you, you see that reflection coming back. So it's really liberating. I've never done it, and I've heard actually from my sister who was leading the retreat, Nadine Lee, who does these work also in Australia, that this is something that they do quite frequently. You know, they create these dance temples for women to come together and really express their erotic innocence. And so I love that. So
yeah, and the time is really now to do a lot of this. This new wave of feminism that's come through. With the Me Too movement has really spoken truth to some of the sexual atrocities and sexual abuse that has happened. And so when
Kayla, are you there?
I'm here, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. We just
Okay.
have a little standstill.
Okay. Well, I'll go back a little bit. So I was saying that the shadow side of the Me Too campaign and everything that came forward from that was really this sexual abuse coming to light. And the light side of this kind of erotic feminism coming more onto the scene is that we are now in a space where we can create the safety and the containers to start to express our eroticism, to start to express our sexuality freely again as women. It is really a slow and steady movement. I'm not advising that any of us kind of go and do this out just like in the street without sort of like some sort of container being established. But I am saying that the temples are being built again, and these containers are being provided for women to really access the fluidity, the liberation, and the freedom that comes from erotic expression. And yeah, it's like through our nakedness, it's through our wildness, and it's through this really sensual, feminine space that was it's super powerful. So that's why it was really, under divide and conquer, colonialism, and all that stuff really washed out, because obviously this brings people together. Yeah, because you could feel that power of sisterhood. Yeah.
No, definitely. I have to say, the women came in as strangers and left as like soul sisters, through this intimate gathering of 5 days, and through expressing these beautiful eroticism of ourselves.
Yes, and it's through that, sorry, I just want to say it's through that bonding that like you could probably reach out to any of those women for the rest of your life now. And if you needed something, they would support you. They would call in other people to support you. So this is what the web looks like when we put the web back together. We are supporting each other. Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing I wanted to touch on is something that you and I talked about when I was visiting. And, it's something that I was already doing, but didn't really understand or even knew that there was a term for this. And this is this concept about ecosexuality. So I'm super curious to learn a little bit more about that and to dive deeper into that.
Yeah, so this is a really, it's actually a perfect day to talk about this because today's Earth Day. So it's great timing. I actually went out and played with Mother Earth for a while. In honor of her. And I try to really do this every day. So ecosexuality and conscious consumption. The reason I say this, conscious consumption, is because we have really disrespected our Mother Earth. We have not taken care of her properly. We see a global crisis on the horizon in terms of global climate change caused by fossil fuel burning, plastic pollution. And you see the consequences of this include, ocean acidification, sea level rise. I studied marine biology in graduate school. I have a master's degree in marine biology. So I've been very focused on the earth, on the ocean, which is 70% of the earth, for a long time now. And I always felt so amazing going out into nature. Something would turn on inside of me. I would always feel more aliveness. I would feel more in my body. And as I started to work in the realms of my eroticism and sexuality, I started to notice that whenever I would go to the ocean, or I would be at a waterfall or hiking a mountain, I would start to have almost kind of like orgasmic sensation, orgasmic energy running through my body. And I realized that part of that turn on was really me accessing my connection to the earth and the energies of the earth. Mm-hmm. And so what I think that this is great, and maybe conservationists want to get on board with this, because I do feel that if people start to form this more intimate relationship with the earth, one where they can go out and practice, maybe completely derobing and being naked, lying. I love to lie in the grass completely naked, or I love to swim completely naked and feel the water over my skin. And it really elicits this beautiful interaction and beautiful reciprocation of gratitude for Mother Earth when I have that experience. And I am then therefore way more conscious of how I treat her. Yeah. Because I see her taking care of me so well in those moments of orgasm, like literally, like I can root my feet into the earth, or I can be in the sand. Like today I was out, I had my headphones on and my music, and I just was feeling her with my hands and my whole body just in the sand by the ocean on the beach. And the vibrancy of that and the relational aspects, because again, consciousness really only comes online with the other. So consciousness is relational. It's not like by yourself. Like if you were just like in a black box, like no other external factors going on, there would be no reason for you to be conscious, for you to be awake in this form, in this body. So it is the relational that allows us to expand our consciousness, to awaken to ourselves. And this ecosexuality bit for me is really this reverence for Mother Earth and feeling into the magnetism, the voltage, the energetics of the earth, and having orgasmic experiences through that. Now, I don't know how much more detail you want of the practices that I do. That's kind of the gist or the philosophy behind.
It's like the general gist, right?
Yeah, and so this also is very particular because it's to each their own. So each of us has a very special way and a very unique way in which we interact with, first of all, our sexuality and our sexual energy, and second of all, with Mother Earth. I think the statistics are like 1 in 400 trillion. So it's like a 1 in 400 trillion chance that you're even alive right now, that you're the human being that you are, the time you were born, the place you were born, where you were. So we have a very distinct, unique relationship to our lives and to who we are. And what's beautiful about that is that every piece of the puzzle has to be different in order to fit together. You can't have two pieces the same, or else the puzzle's not gonna come together, right? So it's the same with sexuality. It's the same when you're exploring, kind of going out into nature, exploring the earth. It's the same thing. It's going to be very, very unique to you and your expression. And so tap into that, and also understands that as you do, notice how your behavior, your day-to-day behavior changes as well in respect to Mother Earth. Because I'm telling you, you will change your consumption. You will change the way that you treat her. You'll change the products that you buy. I mean, it all shifts just out of reciprocity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can definitely share that, you know, I'm here now in Costa Rica. It's almost 5 years. March, it will be 5 years in Costa Rica. And I can just confirm how it has changed my way of being and consumption, being so closely connected to the earth, you know. It has completely shape-shifted everything from the toothpaste I use to the products I put on my skin to how I even recycle. You know, and then just diving into a little bit and sharing my experience in terms of the ecosexuality. Yes, of course, you know, for me going into the waters and being naked and kind of just like oozing into that definitely turns me on and brings that orgasmic feeling. But something as subtle as like going out and taking a flower and smelling the flower. That in itself for me is so orgasmic, you know. It's like walking down the road. I remember going downtown. I'm in San Jose now, and I went to the store. It's in the city, and I walked past this beautiful rose. I found like a rose that was just opening up, and just in the center where it was like chaos and craziness, I got to feel into that orgasmic feeling and lovemaking of connecting with the essence and the beauty of Pachamama. And so I'm sharing this because it's not just for people who lives out in nature all the time. This is someone, it could be a flower in your house. It could be when you walk down the park and you put your feet onto the earth. You know, it's really something that's accessible to everybody. And that's kind of where I wanted to just share, you know, it's not something outside. It's here. It's right here in front of us.
Definitely, because we are nature.
Exactly.
Like we are nature. So what's happening is it's eliciting a memory of self. So that's why it's reciprocated, right? So you're receiving information from nature about yourself, really. And that's what's turning you on, because you're expanding your awareness of yourself and you're actually falling more in love with yourself, which basically is everything. So that's why it's the access point. That's why we use pleasure as the access point, because we can.
Good. And just, you know, tapping into that right away, let's talk a little bit about the pleasure advocacy, diving deeper into that.
Yeah. So I actually have the book here with me that's inspired a lot of, it's inspired and it's validated a lot of the work that I do. And so it's new. This book just came out. It's by Adrienne Marie Brown. And it's called Pleasure Activism. I'm just going to hold it up so people can see. It's called Pleasure Activism, The Politics of Feeling Good. And this is really where I do say that personal growth, personal development, self-care, self-love, if you are pursuing any of those things, I am sorry to tell you, but that is political. If you don't want it to be, I'm sorry, but it is. Now, the reason people stray from this is because they think that political means I got to now go on the streets. I got to now go protest. I got to now do this, and the other thing. And that's not what I mean by political. What I mean by political is that by instilling new narratives into your nervous system, by hardwiring your brain for pleasure and accessing your own freedom and liberation and expression, that in and of itself is a political statement in saying, I am a free person. In a world that is going to tell me that I'm not, I am going to say that I am. And that in and of itself is political. And that's what I mean by political, and that's what I mean by advocacy. When we advocate for ourselves, when we stand up for ourselves in our daily lives by choosing things that bring us the greatest joy, that is advocacy. So you don't have to go running, running and making all the signs and doing all the things and all of that. That's supercharged, and that is for some people. That is some people's path. It's that they love that. And I believe that every single human being on this planet deserves to feel their liberation, deserves to experience their liberation. And I do believe that this is most accessible through pleasure. It's free.
Yeah.
Pleasure doesn't cost any money. It's hardwired, already hardwired in our nervous system. And we just have to access it more and more to create those stronger neural pathways. And it's free. You can do this in any moment. You can take 5 deep breaths and feel into your pelvic bowl. You can take, take in the scene around you, take in that rose in the middle of the city. There are so many access points to pleasure throughout your day. And when you start to navigate it, I'm telling you, it just multiplies and multiplies. It's like, I'm like experiencing pleasure everywhere I go now. It's like, oh my God, look at that tree. Oh my gosh, look at that cat. Oh, that baby. It's like everything is just so pleasurable because I have really honestly navigated and rewired and continue to practice and refine my skill for pleasure. And this has brought me so much freedom, so much joy in my day-to-day life, and so much accessibility. And I am honest, I'm getting a little emotional actually talking about it, because I have chosen for myself in the past year more of the things that I desire than I've ever chosen for myself before. And I am telling you that it doesn't have to be a big deal, right? I don't have to go screaming this all over the place to feel validated in my liberation. I feel very free in this moment, and I get to share it with whom I choose. I get to do the work that I choose to do, and it feels so powerful that I get to keep what I choose to keep sacred, and I get to share with what I want to share. And so it's just very powerful work, and it doesn't necessarily have to be broadcasted all over the place. However, I kind of feel that's my position. I'm like, well, I'm going to share this with everybody I can, because you do you is like the best advice ever, and do it with pleasure and access it. So I get super excited, and I could go into more depth about marginalization, and as women, we are a marginalized group under patriarchy, and what this means when we gather, first of all, like you're saying, Tish, with this gathering that you had last weekend, and then also when we reclaim our bodies, our hearts, and our souls for ourselves first and foremost.
Yeah,
that is a political statement. There's just no way around it. That's what it is.
Yes, babe, I totally agree. And I like to refer to this pleasurable living as orgasmic living. I can find like an orgasmic state in eating like a strawberry, or just eating a meal. Just being completely present with it and really feeling it is like bringing me so much pleasure. So
yeah. And I will just, as a side note, say that like orgasm is not just like this climatic experience either. There are multiple millions and trillions different types of orgasms. So when we say orgasmic, I feel this orgasmic, it's not like the one going crazy. It's maybe something a little more subtle, something a little bit more. So to tap into those subtleties as well is really important, because we've also been told that sex and orgasm and our sexual pleasure looks like basically one way, you know? It's very, very much not put on the broader scale that it actually is. So pleasure comes in millions, if not billions, if not trillions of different forms. So yeah, I just wanted to make that note as well.
Yes. I truly believe that. So I would like to invite you to maybe share a little nugget of advice, or maybe a tool or a practice, or just like anything that is coming through right now. And we can leave our guests and our listeners with that. And after that, we'll share a little bit where they can find you. But is there anything that you would want to share with the women today? Maybe like a practice or a tool or something that's coming to mind after this yummy, juicy conversation?
Yeah. I think that the sweet spot here is really slow and steady, and small things over time add up. And so this is not like a 30-day challenge. This isn't kind of like we don't have goals. We're not like set. Like this is no. This is really adapting and building a life around your natural rhythm and your natural patterns of who you truly are. And so I'd say my biggest piece of advice is that when you're on this pleasure path, is to go slowly as possible, with no objective, no goal, no like kind of expectation of outcome, and curiosity. Like curiosity and awe. Like take awe. And whenever awe arises or curiosity arises, I want you to stop and take a breath. I want you to notice where you are, who you're with, what you're wearing, who you're talking to. And I want you to notice your turn on. So this is called turn on. This is called pleasure. So as soon as curiosity sparks, like, ooh, I'm curious, that's curiosity is actually like kind of right before pleasure, right before accessing that turn on, you get curious. So if you're not necessarily feel, oh, I never like, what are you talking about, Kayla? I never get turned on. Like I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and I don't even know where my head is half the time, let alone, you know, the lower half of my body. Know that this takes time, practice in building the skill, and it's not a race, and you have all the time in the world. And so that would just, in general, be my recommendation to everybody, is that this is for the rest of your life. So you have time and you go at your pace.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. That definitely resonates, and such great advice, and such a beautiful reminder, you know, to go slow and easy, you know. That's
slow cooked food is the best type of food, you know. It gets better and better as it just sits and marinates and stews, and it's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, ooh, a little bit of garlic on this one. Ooh, now I can really taste like the onion, you know, like it's always morphing and it's always shifting, and our pleasure centers are fluid. You know, what gives us pleasure one day might not give us pleasure the next day, and notice that. My request of you is to notice that and to be conscious of it. And that's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing, my love. Where can we find you? What is your website? We'll post it on the comments as well. But if you just want to maybe shout out your website and maybe your IG handle so people can find you and connect with you. And if they have any questions, and we'll also post about the book that Kayla's referring to, so you can dive a little bit deeper into that, and any other resources. Maybe you have something that you want to share with them, a meditation or an ebook or something, you're more than welcome to do so.
Thank you, love. So my website is www. I always have to say the w. I was like, yeah, we know the www, Kayla. It's like I'm like 50 or something. I don't know. Anyway, www.pussyconsciousness.com. They actually had it, so I bought it. Pussyconsciousness.com is my website. And yeah, there's like lots of fun things happening right now in my world of like workshops and retreats coming up, which would be super fun. I have a shark diving retreat in June. If anyone's interested, in South Florida, we get to go diving with sharks and talk about our sexuality and pleasure. And then I also, my Instagram is my name. So it's just Kalah.Hill. KALAH.HILL. And that is where I have my website link. And that's where I'm very much more personal. It's more about my personal journey. And I have a catalog of writings. So I enjoy writing and poetry. And so you'll find some good reads, hopefully, if you're interested in that type of reading in my post on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, babe. It's been such a joy and an honor. And yeah, I really hope that the women that's tuning into this whenever is really receiving some juicy information that they can take with them in this path of empowerment and pleasure and orgasmic living, because it's all about our freedom and our sovereignty and reclaiming ourselves through our womb space. So thank you so much. I will definitely connect with you. I hope to see you soon.
Yes.
And yeah.
I know.
Blessing.
Thank you, Tish. Yeah.
Ciao, mi amor. Bye.
Ciao, babe.